How do you keep your accounts alive longer? Well, it's going to be following the trend, don't fight the trend, and wait for new information so that it fits your strategy and fits your edge. You don't have to guess where the market wants to go. Let's take a look at the markets here and you'll see what I mean by new information. I made plenty of video about it, about this opening range. Once we're back inside it later on in the afternoons or even early mornings, it's not always the best setup because if we were clean trending, ideally, by 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we're well outside these levels, making new lows if it's a bearish day or new highs if it's a nice bullish day. But that doesn't mean you can't make money within this range. It's just going to be a little bit tougher. I see a lot of people lose their accounts very quickly too, trying to force trades without new information. So let's look at the open here. Clearly very bullish. The 15 minutes nice and bullish as well. One thing we could actually note, if you've seen Futures 2.0, which is my full strategy, on AceFX TV, there's no breaks of the high day. If you up, maybe this one back here, we could say there's a break. Buyers step back in after sellers can't break below the New York view up. So maybe this is our higher low we're working off of. Let's go continue higher. Notice how it couldn't get outside the range, just right back inside the middle. But let's say you play the bounce play, right? A bounce off of New York VWAP, you're long, real nice price close to that VWAP. Structure-wise, there's really nothing to the left, right? Really nothing. So you'd want to be in this as long as it doesn't make a new low a day outside the opening range low. And let's see what that looks like. That's a long trade to be in, but the worst thing to do is be having a tight stop loss where it wouldn't be invalidated, right? We're just mid-range. There's no new information that, oh, sellers took control there. We're breaking lower, continually making lower lows. Not really. We're just pulling back slightly below the New York. That the worst thing would be stopped out here, right? I'm assuming all below these pins is where the stop loss would want to go. You get stopped out, but then you don't see it make a new low a day. And you're saying, damn, was I just early? Is this our higher low that we're working with? And now buyers are taking back control on that high day break? All right, let me give it another try. So then you jump back in on the longs, stop loss at the new structure point, pulls back, but nothing to be afraid of. Maybe it's still making this higher low back here from the previous start at the open. We're still rising. Okay, nice, beautiful. There's the buyers. Let's rip us higher now. Still no follow through. So instead of taking one loss, we really took two. And then maybe the worst case scenario, someone took three, all within the same range. When what has it done? Just moved sideways really for an hour. You know, a little jab lower, but not outside the range, not new information that we made a new price. It's still within this range. So the worst thing to do is just be over trading all within this range, trying to force the move out of it, which is why if we can break out of this range, I have confidence that we can get more move out of it because we're moving outside of this range. But the worst thing to do is maybe you get stopped out here and then you have to add back in again, and then that one doesn't work out either. And we took 2 or 3 losses all on the same idea from back here. Same price, but stop losses were too tight. We're trying to time the market too well instead of saying, I want to be long as long as we don't make a new low a day, because buyers could build a higher low anywhere in here. And they tried and they tried. And yes, you eventually lose. But you took one loss. You shouldn't be oversized on that first one. That we're fine. No need to panic. We took a loss. That's fine. But we gave it a fair shot because it looked pretty bullish. And then I'd say later on, this is probably a tougher long. Not the worst, but just seeing the lack of buyers being able to push us higher isn't the greatest sign. But again, I wouldn't really want to short it here either because you're above New York. Still bullish on the day. So it's pretty tough. Pretty tough overall. But new information would be a new high a day or a new low a day. And we get the new low a day. So rather than trying to force the longs, see if they work out. They don't. Okay. New low a day. Well, we're not going to just chase that at the bottom. It breaks the opening range low and initial balance low at this point. Let's put on our low a day view up. Now, is there a retest to opening range low here and a break of low a day view up? Of course there is. No sellers follow through on that. It's a sharp move down. It's a tiny little pullback after such a strong move. I like to see those bigger pullbacks to a key level of this one is the opening range low. But notice how it comes right back to New York. Forms our next lower high there, right? This forms lower highs. Sellers step back in on the break of low a day view up and back outside that opening range low, right? I was saying all this is messy. When we're inside the open range, who knows what it wants to do? We're actually leaving the opening range low again. So sellers are back in. We just formed a lower high. We had just made a new low a day. That's new information saying, hey, the trend might be bearish because we made a new low. See it pull back. I'll try to catch the next leg of shorts once sellers step in on the low a day break after retesting this key level, which they do so nicely. So maybe you could even play a bounce up there. That one's nice, but it's in the range, so who knows? But if you just play the break play of a VWAP, you're risking 11 points. You go get 15. And it's a nice trend and continuation play to the downside following the structure. Because, I mean, when you zoom it out now, up until that point, yeah, it looks very nice of lower highs and lower lows. The key point being that we got a lower low, right? Rather than trying to short it up here, hoping that a lower low comes in, we still have a new low a day, pull back, there's the next lower low. So now we're following structure. We're on the right side of VWAP. We're trading off of key VWAP of a New York. Everything looks nice and clean, but it doesn't follow through any more than what we just saw there on that first trade. Maybe because the previous day's New York VWAP is below us, not the greatest sign for shorts to want to continue through that. And what does it do? It comes right back inside that danger zone of the opening range. And look at the no follow through, the lack of follow through, because there's really no trend because we're back inside this range. It's a flat New York VWAP. Now, the reason this may be a tough short for sure. The 1 minute looks great for shorts. New low a day specifically. Now I'm just looking to go get the next new low a day from the same price that it broke out of just 40 minutes later after it retested a key level. Let's take a look at the 15 minute. The 15 minute, the pullback, this big drop here on the 1 minute on the right side, is just retesting the daily. So I could just rewind it. Maybe it'll make it look a little bit cleaner. If we wanted to long it there, yeah, that makes sense. New high day, clearly bullish overnight. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Higher high, pull back to the daily view up where higher lows are normally formed in this bullish trend. We're above yesterday's high, so it's an outside bargain to the upside. Longs look good. It's retesting this key level, so that's a tough short against the daily view up for sure. So what do we do there? That's where it can get a little bit tough of saying, how do I want to short it on this 1 minute, but the 15 minutes telling me to long it? And I would agree that's definitely not ideal. So that's why you just try to lean into, well, what is the 1 minute telling you? It's telling you that there's no buyers in control. They haven't been able to pop us higher since that open pop here. So just lean into this 1 minute structure until it changes and you get new information that, hey, the longs are actually coming back into play. The 15-minute trend is looking like it wants to follow. And you can see how that plays out. It really does nothing. Comes a little bit lower on that winning short we went over. Then ultimately back above the daily because it didn't want to run super far because the trend's not actually bearish. So you're not going to get strong, clear trend bearish continuation. Another thing we could look at is NQ, I believe, on that day. Yeah, the clean retest, same thing to its daily view up, even more so. Bodies right off of it and comes back up into trend. So NQ was definitely looking more bearish on the 15-minute, but this 1 minute here on the right side was not telling you to long it at all. Let's put some lines and levels on that so you could see new low a day, pull back to New York, same thing. The break of low a day is probably going to come inside the range. Not the worst thing, but ES looks a little bit better. It gives you one pump back outside the range and then right back inside because the 15 minutes actually a bullish trend. So it's going to tough to see shorts play out for a very long time, but you definitely could scalp money to the downside if you're just reading and reacting to current structure here on the 1 minute, not over trading it, not putting too tight of stop loss, seeing the ideas through, right? We tried a long back here. We took one loss. All right, new information. Let's try a short now, what it's telling me to do here on the 1 minute off the key levels, and then make it back. So it's a break-even day maybe, or maybe make a little bit small green. But it shouldn't be 3 trades in this range and then shorting it here, shorting it again, and now we're 5 trades deep. Maybe we're red, maybe we're green, who knows? Take it easy, slow it down, wait for new information. I mean, this even looks like a great bounce play as well. Once it defends the New York, you could maybe even give it a bigger stop up there. But either way, plenty of opportunities if you could stay patient for it and just wait for new information. This would be the toughest part. I'd say let's go to that candle right there. Up until this point, does it look like it wants to go lower? Of course. I mean, it's back below New York. Buyers really haven't been able to move us higher. But there's not real bearish structure. I mean, we haven't made a new low a day. I noticed that my best trades for longs follow a new high a day. And my best trades for shorts are following a new low a day. So could this short work out and I scalp it to the bottom? Of course. I mean, if I tried that there, that didn't work. If I tried it here, it didn't work, right? With the stop loss like right at structure. So it's tougher to time. But if I could just let it make that new low, confirm that the shorts maybe look more favorable, it's like, okay, there's the new low. I'm not going to chase that. But if I can get a pullback, I want to look for the next new low, right? That's all what it's really about. Just waiting for the next new low for shorts in trend and the next new high for bullish trend. So we get the nice pullback to New York off a key level. And then sellers step back in. Let me go scalp some of it back down because sellers are in control today, clearly with all these lower highs. So hopefully made money. Hopefully the 15-minute tips can help you as well of why we're looking for longs at the open. But we're not going to marry them once they show their real lack of strength here on the 1 minute. We just adapt, we react to this 1 minute structure, play with the VWAPs, but most importantly, don't overtrade it. If it's in this range and you take a swing at it, accept the loss. Don't overdo it in that range. Wait for it to get back outside to take your second swing at it on the day. You'll have a better chance at making it back. And the last thing is, thankfully, with the top 1 accounts, you get the Project X platform that you're trading on, you get a max daily loss limit that you could put into place so that even if it's your worst day ever, it shouldn't be too much money because you have a max daily loss set in place that you can't lose more than $500. So even if you do over trade it here in this range, it shouldn't be too big of a red day because it locks you out once you hit that threshold. Other than that, if you don't have that set in on top one, then yeah, you're free to overtrade and lose that account very quickly. So I'd always suggest put a personal daily loss limit in place so that you can't overtrade, can't lose too much in one day. And then strategically, trade-wise, this is how you would wait. This is how you should be patient. A little bit of let it get outside the range. There's plenty of good trades once it's outside this range. And it's just a lot tougher to survive and time it and win when it's in this range, especially when it's sitting in it for a very, very long time with a flat VWAP too, I should mention. I made plenty of videos about that as well. This VWAP is flat. No one's in control. Wait for somebody to show their clear hand that they're in control and just react off of that. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, hope you guys found value in the 15-minute, the 1 minute. Make sure you check out the top one. And all these strategies that I teach are on stream every morning, taking these trades. Austin was in along with a good stop loss at the low a day, like we're saying you should. That's taught in the course as well. So hopefully you guys found value in it. Hopefully you guys will check into the streams. You can get a free trial. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.